What are your thoughts on making all officer body camera footage publicly accessible? It would be terrible for videos of innocent people in terrible situations to be made public. There is no reason that the video of a police initial interaction with a rape victim needs to automatically be made public. Exactly. Why should someone have their mental breakdown broadcast to the world? Why should a domestic abuse victim have their tragedy be seen by strangers? Etc. etc. Massive privacy issue. Obviously all that footage should be accessible to relevant parties for any sort of inquiry or investigation, but it can't be freely accessed by the public. Definitely not. While the police, when working, shouldn't have any expectation of privacy, the people they interact with, they see people at both their worst times and in situations that are extremely private. While the officers do need to be there, no one else should be able to just request a video. I do believe that all police should have body cams and the footage should be retained. It should not be viable without a court order. Sounds good to me. As a cop, you're a public servant. You serve the public's interest. How better to ensure you're doing that than make all your service publicly available? The tricky thing about body cam footage is how you make it available. You have to make it available readily to those who ask for a valid reason. But you can't just throw your shit up on YouTube. For one, it's a huge violation of privacy, and no, I am not talking about the officer. Let's say you drive past a cop who has someone pulled over. Hey, that looks like George from The Office. But you're not sure, so you go to PoliceTube later that evening and start browsing through your PD's body cam footage. Hey, this looks like the right beat. It is George from The Office. If you're George, that's a huge violation of your privacy and ask because you were seen in public. It's different if I were to start a rumor around the office that I saw George getting a ticket versus sending the YouTube video around the office. And then you get into practical issues like how long do we keep it? Where? How do we keep it? Even a shit resolution video takes up oodles of storage space. X however many on-duty officers you have, X how many shifts. That's a lot if you only have to retain it for any period of time. Wouldn't it violate the privacy of other people? Imagine you had to call a police to your house, for example, because of abuse. Imagine your neighbors, co-workers and everyone would be able to see this deeply private and difficult part of your life. So no, it should not be publicly accessible. Not everything. At least it should be illegal and punishable to have the body cam turned off, though, against public as a result of a criminal complaint against the officer. Yes, but footage would include members of the general public who did not consent to that footage being released. No, as much as it might seem awesome in cases of abuse of power, there are many situations where what the camera sees should not be public information. Responding to murders, rape, domestic abuse, and I am sure many other things should not be made immediate and without restrictions available to the public. However, I do favor the idea that all body cam footage be stored, unless the case is marked as a response to a locked type of file. It can be accessed by the general public through a simplified request for information for Monsieur. Footage that is locked, e.g. footage from a murder scene, can be requested in a more thorough process that requires the approval of all non-police parties involved, or extant family. Storage and oversight of the material will be difficult points to figure out. Oversight of material should fall under the judicial area of the government opposed to the executive, but that's just my half-pence. The correct response to this question is this: all police everywhere should have body cams where they cannot delete or modify or pause the footage. However, it should be sent to a private cloud center. This will stop police from lying but still keeps victims' rights safe. And it will create a fairer system for defendants. Ooh, Monsieur, I win. Gold medal place 0x. Horrible idea. It would be a massive invasion of privacy for everyone that the officers interact with and would have a chilling effect on people reporting crimes and cooperating with law enforcement. I'd be hesitant to have my daughter or wife report a sexual assault if the footage of their interview was accessible to anyone who wanted to watch it. No, because you shouldn't live broadcasts rape victims' harrowing breakdown to the responding officer. For instance, 1. That's fucked up. 2. That's an insane betrayal of trust and privacy. Terrible idea. Suppose an officer is texting at some point while on duty. Why should the public see his texts? Same goes for private conversations with other officers. And cops also have to go to the bathroom, monsieur. Innocent people and perpetrators alike don't necessarily deserve to have the worst moments of their lives broadcast for entertainment. Let's say it's you having a mental breakdown and attacking a cop. You want that broadcast to the world? Victims definitely don't want the footage of their interactions with police getting out. How do you have a confidential informant or undercover officers if their interactions with uniformed officers are all public? The current system is working just fine. If something happens, they release the footage. If not, all of the above issues are not a problem, monsieur. In my opinion, this idea comes from a great place. However, 1. Privacy is an issue. People other than the officers will be on their cams in possibly embarrassing scenarios. 2. If an officer goes to talk to a confidential informant, well, now, that's not very confidential. Public body cam footage is a great way in general to tip off the bad dudes as to what the police are planning to do. 3. I'm frankly not sure what measurable good this would do. Police officers have done some pretty idiotic and sickening stuff. Like, murder. Even when they were being filmed by multiple citizens. Now, how many officers are going to think to themselves, man, I really wanted to commit this evil act while it's being recorded and sent to my superiors in. Anyone with a subpoena, oh wait, it's public. I better not do anything wrong now. My friend is a police officer whose job is to spend all day editing out personal information from police body cam video. So he mutes the video when they're on a phone call with their wife and blurs the screen when they are texting on their phone, etc. He said it's funny because he knows all of the intimate details of the lives of the other officers in his department, but a lot of them have no idea who he is. He'll see someone and want to ask how their mom's surgery went, but then remembers that he's never spoken with that person ever. He only edits the video that will be released. The other video is just archived and won't be scrubbed unless it needs to be released. I think if all the video was made public, it would create a lot of new positions in police departments to keep up with the huge amount of video data produced. Imagine a city with 200 police officers on duty at a time. 4,800 hours of video every day to scrub. 200 by 24. And then the privacy aspect. Do you want the worst day of your life made public for anyone to watch? Are victims entitled to some privacy? Those are two big issues that would need to be resolved before your idea would work well. No thanks. What about privacy? Vulnerability. Cops bust my door down and people can see me picking my nose. Or worse, double dipping the chip dip. Horrible. What if the cop is talking about deep shit with his partner? I apologize for the critical tone, but I have to say, in all seriousness, I really hope legislators put more thought into signing a bill than opted in asking this question. On the surface, it seems like a good idea to keep officers accountable. However, in the case of Tatiana Jefferson, publicly available body cam footage seems like a shallow and meaningless reform if the system itself refuses to hold cops accountable for their actions. They should certainly have it be continuously uploading to a cloud system that an oversight agency stores. Then when there is an investigation, it's already in the proper hands, not in the hands of cops who can tamper, or the public who can misuse it. Oof. No. Such a privacy violation for so many people. and would certainly lead to a huge drop in reports of rape and domestic violence. Invasion of privacy. Just think of all the problems that would create if every single person could see everything a policeman did on shift. Just think for a second. What could go wrong? I really want to see some enterprising company design a cheap body cam for civilians instead. I've looked for one, but there aren't any that I think would be reliable. I want something minimally invasive, like one cord. Let it connect and stream to a phone. Let it capture 10 to 30 minutes at a time and then just start overriding so it only has the most recent 10 to 30 minutes. Give me some sort of switch or button on it so I can set it to record or not. It should just be made so that the footage cannot be deleted or turned off. When needed, the footage then can be released or found. I do think one thing needs to be done. When these events turn up, just get the FBI to investigate the matter. The police have no jurisdiction over them, and they don't really care about making the local boys in blue happy. Plus, if the cops are smart, they won't fuck with an agency that outranks them on the federal level. A good idea on the surface, but is way too complex an issue for this to work between privacy issues and budget restrictions. Definitely a bad idea. If anything, it would show the amount of shit they have to deal with on a daily basis. I'd be in favor, but could they be allowed to take it off when they go to the bathroom? In an ideal situation, you'd have to radio into the precinct to have recording disabled. It would also automatically turn back on if you moved X meters from where it was turned off. Not a 100% solution, but it cuts out a lot of the ways to abuse it. Only if the public feed repository would automatically blur out identifying features for civilian individuals to preserve their privacy. Why not live stream it? While I don't think that it should be public right away, I think that they shouldn't be able to turn off the body cam, so if something needs to be, it can be. Too much of a privacy issue for members of the public. A lot of vulnerable people talk to the police. By definition, it's not in a rape victim's interest. For example, to have his or her initial distress publicly logged online. It'd end up posted to porn sites. FFS. There are other issues as well. Police responding to a burglary would speak to the owner and look around the house, and that could itself serve as reconnaissance for other potential burglars in the future. No, officer, I'm afraid I don't have any CCTV or an alarm. I get where you're coming from, but there are better ways than forcing it to be held publicly. Require police to maintain body cams for all officers and retain footage for 5+ years. Change court and evidential culture such that body cam footage is considered the norm in corroborating police witness testimony, and allow adverse inference to be drawn from its absence. Explicitly permit victims and suspects the right to any body cam footage from officers involved in their case. Allow any member of the public to make a subject access request for video featuring them, based upon interaction with officers. Require officers to geotag location at all times such that officer identity can be cross-referenced. If the individual was unable to determine which officer they were talking to, either arbitrate disputes and lost footage situations through the courts or a newly established independent body. It's not going to matter if they can continue to simply turn them off whenever they want. I'm all for it being accessible within reason. For example, if they come across a woman being raped in a back alley, I don't think it'd be in anyone's best interest, definitely not the victims at least, to have that shared with the world. The big issue would be both deciding what situations that'd have to be sealed. Like, I can think of half a dozen off the top of my head that probably shouldn't be shared. And also how you would even get that footage if cops always seem to conveniently have them failing to work, or just turn it off. Gotta start by holding them accountable. Saw another user suggest that the first time you answered a call and your camera were off, it'd be a warning. Second time, a 30-day suspension with no pay. Third time, you're fired. I'd say not all footage Not all of it needs to be public, but some do, where the police officer is clearly in the wrong, or need to get the criminal's face on camera. It could check for lying. For example, this officer kicked my baby, and the officer denies it. They could just check the body, monsieur. But when it's of innocent people caught in a bad situation, it doesn't need to be public. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.